This is All Sports All the Time, episode 17 of season 2. And those of you watching on YouTube can tell it's just me this week, along with our guest, yet another sportscaster from the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting at Full Sail University. I'm joined this week by Connor Dixon. Connor, could you just give everyone the background on yourself, name, where you're from, favorite teams, all the basic info?
Yes, sir. So I want to apologize. My voice is a little hoarse right now, but my name is Connor Dixon. I'm from Arizona, but I spent most of my life in Colorado. Favorite sports teams, they're kind of all over the place, but I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. Both my parents grew up and were born in the Bay, so my whole family's Warriors fans. And then football, obviously, Philadelphia Eagles. When I was 3 years old, around there, one of my neighbors gave me Kelly Green helmet, and then it was Mike Vick, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy. So that kind of just stuck with me my whole life, thankfully. And then I'm not a big baseball guy, but the Rockies are my team just because, like I said, I spent most of my life in Colorado.
I love asking people these intros because everyone listening doesn't know because they're just me and you guys. But me personally, we have new classes every month at Full Sail. And every month it's that like new class, first day, get to know each other. So we all have our responses to those down. Like we could all recite each other's answers for all of these things because we've done it now like a dozen times. So that's what happens when you have monthly classes. But yeah, I'm really disappointed Parker was going to join us. He's not able to. It's really unfortunate because Parker's obviously an Eagles fan like us, but he also is a huge Steph Curry fan like you. In middle school, he was a big Warriors bandwagon fan. He's with the Sixers now. He's been with the Sixers since high school, but still loves Steph Curry. So that would have been fun conversations with you guys about Steph. Yeah, he'll miss out on that. Connor is also, in addition to being a sportscaster in our sportscasting group. I don't know if I ever explained that well enough to people listening. When I say in our group, it's like our group of sportscasters. We're like a class, and we move class to class together. So like Cole and Ethan, who we've had on before, are at Full Sail. They're sportscasters, but they're not in our group. So if that doesn't make sense to anybody, sorry if I didn't explain that well enough. But we have a fantasy league because we're sportscasters. How are we not going to have a fantasy league? And Connor is the reigning champ. So that's a big part of his resume, obviously, bragging rights. His team was led by Jalen Hurts. So we love to see that. It's a win for all Eagles fans that Jalen Hurts was on his fantasy team. What did you think of? What was your like path of feelings on Jalen Hurts? Because Parker, Luke, and I have had a lot of ups and downs. Parker's been in on Jalen Hurts since his first game against the Saints. He came back after that game and was like, Jalen Hurts is the greatest. We're winning the Super Bowl. I was pretty cautious. I didn't really believe in him until last year. So just like what's been your trajectory on Jalen Hurts fandom?
I was a very, very big Carson Wentz guy. He was like huge Carson Wentz guy. So that whole, what was that, 2019? We won 4 games. 19. It was when we drafted Jalen Hurts. I was like, I wanted to take Jeremy Chin. So I want Jalen Hurts place. I remember I posted on Instagram. It was like, because we obviously passed up on Justin Jefferson, and then we passed up on Jeremy Chin, and I had a post on Instagram. I was like, we took Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor, and then a quarterback we don't even need over Jeremy Chin. And then when I think it was up until the Ravens game, I was still like, this isn't on Carson. And then it got to the point where I was like, yeah, start Jalen Hurts. And then obviously Saints game blew me away. Him and Miles Sanders played great. The Cardinals game was a great game as well. Him and Tyler dueled it out. But I still wasn't sold because the 2 games after that got blown out by the Cowboys. I don't even know who we played after that, but it wasn't pretty. And then in seventh season, my whole thing was just consistency. I was like, he's showed flashes of greatness. He's played incredible games and he's played horrible games. I said, if he can find that consistency, we're golden. And I could always see like his mindset, and like he has one of the best mindsets and drives of any quarterback in the league. So I was like, he will figure it out. And he did. And since then, I've been the biggest Jalen Hurts supporter in the world.
Yeah, it is awesome. He's like, yeah, I don't know a good word for it, but absolutely has one of the best mentalities. He's so young and yet just like so mature and confident. And yeah, he just seems like an awesome guy. And I'm so glad he's our quarterback. Yeah, good call wearing the Eagles shirt today, by the way. That was a nice touch.
Felt it was fitting.
Yeah. So back to you. We're at Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, obviously. We've been here for 13, 14 months, starting to lose track, which is always a good sign. But what was it that was appealing to you about sportscasting in general, and then also specifically this program?
So I had no idea what I wanted to do. For a while, I wanted to do something art related, but then I was like, I'm not good enough at anything art related to make a career out of it. And then I considered being a history teacher just because I was a pretty big history buff for a little bit there. And then I'm always the guy, like my dad, my brother, and I have a group chat, my older brother, and I'll send just like whatever ESPN stat that shows up on the TV, or I'll keep them updated with like stats of certain players we like, whatever. And one time my older brother was like, man, you should be like the guy that finds these random stats for ESPN. And then he's like, you should go to school for that. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, it never crossed my mind that like all these sportscasters study to do it. And I told my mom, it was like halfway through my senior year. I told my mom, and she looked up like sports colleges or whatever. And she goes, okay, well, I put your name down with this place Full Sail. I was like, what? Why would you do that? And like, not even 5 minutes later, they called me. I was like, great, now I got to talk to these people. And then they sold me. Like a 30-minute conversation. I was like, yep, I'm in. And I don't know if I should admit this. Dan Patrick, if you're watching, you're a great guy. You have a great program. I didn't even know who he was up until that. But yeah, I never applied to another school. My mom set me up for a phone call with, I think, South Dakota State University, something like that, where they also, I guess, had a good sportscasting program. But after Full Sail, I denied their call. I was like, I'm just 20 months. I got my bachelor's. It's what I want to do. Sign me up.
Wow. So over the course of like 40 minutes, you went from 0 to I'm in.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And yeah, which is weird, 'cause I usually take my time with decisions too, but I was like, this is great. I applied probably like a week later, got accepted like a month later. So it all worked out pretty well.
Wow. So a lesson for parents, just kind of throw your kids into stuff, I guess. That's exactly how I got my job my last 2 years of high school. It was a rental place. And my dad had rented stuff from them for a church event. And when he was returning the stuff, I was with him. And the girl was like, we've been trying to get like high school, college kids to like work over the summer and stuff. And we haven't gotten anyone yet. My dad's like, Owen, you should do that. Just right in front of her. I was like, I don't know, maybe. And then like, I went in for like a little tour of the place a week later. And yeah, a couple weeks later, I was working for them. So parents, just, throw your kids into stuff. Not all the time, but it seems like it works out occasionally. Yeah. So wow, I won't tell Dan that you didn't know who he was.
Thank you.
It's between us and everyone who watches and listens to this. our secret. Um, so you said that I think a lot of us kind of come from that like background of like either we were into a certain sport or we were into stats or those sorts of things. Like a lot of us were like that kid who people would know as like, oh, that's guy who's always talking about this, or the person who's always bringing up these random stats. In your group chat or just in general with anyone else that you've been talking to, what's the best ever take that you've had? And then also the worst ever take you've had?
I'll start with best ever. I predicted the Warriors 2022 championship on TikTok was the only place where I really put it in writing, because back in the day, I got into a lot of social media beefs in the comment sections, sports related. And that was one of them where people were just like saying I'm crazy, saying the Warriors would win, whatever, because we were the worst team in the league the year prior. I was like, we got all these guys coming back, and then we got Andrew Wiggins, like we're set. So I predicted that, and then I actually predicted the Eagles losing the Super Bowl.
Fortunate one.
I don't know how long before that would have been. It was the night the Warriors beat the Mavericks in Game 5, make the finals. I was at the airport in Denver. I forget where I was going, but we were waiting for our flight. We just sat down in a bar to catch the end of the game. And a couple drunk guys came up to my dad because he's like older. And they're asking who's better between, I think it was Emmitt Smith and LaDainian Tomlinson. And so they're talking about that. And one of them's a Cowboys fan. And somehow it came up I was an Eagles fan. And then I was telling them like, yada, yada, Jalen Hurts is better than Dak Prescott, or like will be. And they said something. I was like, all I can say for sure is when it's all said and done, Jalen Hurts will have more rings than Dak. And one guy, like the guy's laughing and pointing at me. And he goes, when is Jalen Hurts? When are the Eagles ever going to win a Super Bowl? I was like, I don't know, but this year we're going to make it and lose to the Bills. Because I do like my preseason record predictions and everything. Mm-hmm. So I had that like in my mind. I did the records. I did the playoffs. I was like, okay, we'll make the Super Bowl. We lost to the Chiefs, not the Bills, but I still predicted losing. I predicted, which this is still kind of arguable, that Justin Herbert would be better than Tua. Because
we don't know.
Last, it looked good, but right now, it's really 50-50. So now it's in writing here, though. So that when he is, now it's...
There you go.
Worst take, I thought LaMelo Ball was going to be terrible. Like, because I was so glad when the Warriors passed on him. And then Jalen Reagor, I was pretty high on him, unfortunately. Yeah. I gave him time, too. More time than most, and he let me down again and again and again. And it just never worked out.
Yeah, I hated the pick, and I still tried to be patient with him and give him time. I was like, well, if we picked him, I might as well try to back him. And
in my mind, I was like, well, I'm just some kid who watches football. This guy's an NFL GM. If he sees something that I don't, who am I to say? And now Justin Jefferson's the best in the league.
Yeah. Well, he did see something we didn't see in Jalen Hurts, so
true.
That'll balance it out for Howie, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll take that. The Warriors one is very impressive. That's better than a lot of takes people have been able to pull out. And the fact that you have like evidence of it is pretty nice.
Yeah, I've gone back and found it before because TikTok saves like every comment you've ever made. It would take me probably an hour, but if I have to prove it, I definitely could.
Got the receipts.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Having been in the program for the 13 months now, what's been, I guess, just the part that you've enjoyed the most about learning to be a sportscaster?
I think all the vocal stuff has been really cool. because coming into it, I never did anything where I had to be vocally gifted. So max class, learning to breathe, that was huge because I used to not be able to talk for like even this long without gasping for breath. And then this month with Christine, I learned a lot. And in the beginning of class, I was like, she said, this is the last vocal class you'll have. And I was like, oh shoot, like I have to make sure I learn everything. And I feel like I have. So with all the vocal stuff, I liked learning to write a lot. I like that a lot more than I thought I would. I really enjoy writing all my scripts and everything and kind of writing them in my own tone, throwing a couple one-liners or jokes in there. It's all pretty fun.
Yeah, that was I think all of us learned so much, especially this month in vocal.
Oh,
Like it's just yeah, there's so many little things that you don't even think about vocally. I went into the class this month and I was like, okay, this is why do we have to talk like this? But after 3 weeks, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's definitely better. I agree now, Christine. You were right. So yeah, and we did our final, I guess technically our most important assignment together. You, me, and Alex did our show together, focused on the vocals, and you had your allergies. You weren't feeling well, still put on a vocal performance. That was one of the more impressive performances of anybody, I would say, just because you had to deal with that.
I like to think so. Good game.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting history books.
Mhm. So, yeah. Did you post your clip of that on Underdog Sports yet, or is that coming?
The time this podcast is posted, it definitely will be. I think I'm doing that later because I downloaded it and I trimmed it. So it's good to go. I just need to post it.
Sweet. Okay. So we'll link in the description all of Connor's platforms, Underdog Sports, so you guys can go check that out. That clip from that show will be up there. So go watch that. It was very good. Let's keep going with Underdog Sports. What's obviously right now you just started, it's pretty small, but like vision wise, what how do I say this? What would you see Underdog Sports being like if it reaches its peak for like whatever vision you have for it, like at its fullest or biggest it could be? What do you see it being?
At its fullest, like if it really took off, I've imagined like it being its own platform, kind of like Barstool,
Okay.
but it'd probably be more professional than that. Where like at its biggest, like having like my own staff and multiple sportscasters talking about multiple sports on podcasts, talk shows, whatever. But yeah, right now I'm kind of just experimenting with it, posting kind of just whatever sports content I make on there, just having fun with it.
Yeah, it's very different as a solo operation for sure. And then yeah, if that solo operation gets bigger, then you've got all the other things. But yeah, that would like just like a sports media platform, like a podcast network, anything like that.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. Do you think it would be like just all sports Underdog, like all sports, or if you'd like maybe go into a lane, like football, basketball?
I'd like it to be all sports just so that way you attract all the audiences. Because obviously, if I want to talk about baseball, I could like have a conversation about baseball, but I couldn't have my own show. So then that's where it'd be like other people could talk about it. But it'd probably be, I mean, right now it's definitely mainly just football, basketball, because those are my strong suits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Aside from Underdog Sports, just in general, what would you say your goals are for your career in the sports industry? Just like your life in general. What are your goals for the future?
I mean, first things first, I definitely want to just get any job in the industry out of Full Sail, just anything that will get my foot in the door, preferably on camera, but I know how little the odds are for that. So I'll really take anything I could get. That's why I kind of try to learn as much I can so that helps my odds of getting a job if I could do more. And then at some point, I definitely want to be either if Underdog Sports takes off and I could be kind of self-employed in that sense, or if I could be on camera anywhere, people know my name, people like my content, and if I make a lot of money, that help. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I would just personally, that's similar to mine. I think being self-employed in the sports industry would be pretty fun. It's definitely harder when you're self-employed, but I think that could be pretty rewarding. Um, could you give us your best story from your time at Full Sail so far?
Best story?
I know there's a lot with our group.
There's a lot.
We've got some crazy stuff.
Kickball is definitely up there. It didn't end as great as it should have, but it was still a fun day. And it's still the fact that it's something we talk about probably at least once a week ever since then.
It's one of our more frequent callbacks.
Yeah. That, what else? There's a lot. I think just my favorite thing is just being in class, like any class where, because I've never in my life liked school. And now I like, even waking up for 9 a.m., I'm like, I can't wait. And then I go in there and it's just, we have a really great group. That's just what it is. It's a great atmosphere. It's like a lot of people. I don't think I've ever gotten along with as many people as I do now. Where like every single person, I don't have a single issue with.
Yeah, yeah. It's very cool. Initially, like the first, I don't know how long, just being a Full Sail, I was like, it'd be kind of nice to be in like one of those 2 to 4 person months, just because like then you get like more focus on you, like your shows, like you could guys like Titus, who's like just him in PMP7, he could do like as many takes as he wanted, like. But now, the longer we've been in the program, I'm like, nah, I wouldn't change this at all. I love being in a bigger group.
Yeah. I was just thinking, as you said, I think my favorite memory and possibly the hardest I've ever laughed in my life would be new media tools, that first class where I'm not going to go into detail, but
No.
we have a group chat of all the people in our class, and it was a very boring class. So
The group chat is probably used much too frequently in class.
yes, it was just a lot of jokes cracked, and I just remember I would like be laughing and I'd look away from it, gather myself, and I'd look up and it would just get worse. And then I'd look down and it was so bad. It was so bad.
There was one class in new media tools where I remember somebody just like started laughing out loud and we all just death stared them. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, that class, something absolutely happened where something so funny happened that somebody laughed out loud and we were sitting at the back. We're all like, what are you doing? That class is something. Also from that class, one of my favorite personal stories was after class. We all were just like standing around, either after class when we were standing around talking, or during our class break when we'd go out and throw the football. You were telling us about the one kid in your group for the group project. You had a Juice World chain on. And the guy was like, "Is that your name?" And that's just so funny to me still that he didn't really understand that at all. Like, yes, my name is Juice World, and I wear a chain with it.
My name too when he said that. Like he knew my name was Connor, and he saw it.
Oh man.
That kid was something else.
Yeah.
He was fun to work with in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That I can't believe that was almost a year ago now. New Media Tools was
Wow.
last November or December.
Yeah, that's
Insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's crazy. So it's about time. We've made it 25 minutes. We got to talk about the Eagles now. It's
Yeah.
all of us who host this podcast. We're all Eagles fans. We've finally got another Eagles fan on the show. We can't pass that up. They've been kind of weird this year. I'll give my thoughts right now. Just what's been your perception of the Eagles so far in their first 2 games?
Man, injuries and safeties and linebackers. Man, our safety group I really liked a lot. I didn't think they would be like amazing, but I thought they'd be able to hold it down. Reed Blankenship was obviously hurt last game. But I like City. Justin Evans played great. I'll say that. He had that late pass breakup on TJ Hawkinson. He had did he have the forced fumble on that punt?
Yes, I believe he's the one who knocked it out.
Fumble recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Avante Maddox punched it out from Madison. He played great. I think our defense will find a groove. They just got to get there. And then offensively, I don't know what it is. It might just be Brian Johnson, which I had high hopes coming into the year because he had such a great connection with Jalen Hurts, but it's not looking too great so far. But we have all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to take some time to kind of put it all together. But once it does, it's over for the rest of the league if we figure it out.
Absolutely. That's my biggest way I'm conflicted with this team is like they haven't played well at all. Even both games have been pretty ugly by their standards, and yet they're 2-0. So like I don't know whether I should be really concerned like we haven't hit our stride yet or be impressed like oh wow, we're playing at like 70% of our potential and winning these games.
Yeah. I don't know, because even last year, like, there were so many games where every post-game speech, Jalen Hurts would be like, we still haven't reached our peak. It was like every week. So,
But him saying we haven't reached our peak would be after like a 34-10 win. And we're like, that game was pretty good, Jalen. I don't know.
true. It was, I don't know. I also feel like Jalen Hurts, week 1 was weird with weather. And I mean, he didn't play great, but he didn't play terrible. Week 2, the first half was weird. I was watching the game with Jake, and he kind of pointed out that he's making the right reads. He's just throwing it too late. Like that pick, it was just he threw it too late. Even that first pass to Devontae Smith, if he threw it sooner, could have been a touchdown. But then the second half, he figured it out. The timing was there. So once he gets fully in his groove and he's just going, then it'll help the rest of the offense kind of fall behind him as their leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say personally, I'm more worried about the defense than the offense, partially just because of health. The defense is getting hit more with injuries. But just the secondary kind of reminds me of the Super Bowl team in 2017, where it's like, we got a really great defensive line and we're going to give up some catches. Just hopefully we hit the quarterback before he can throw it deep to a guy who's open. That's how it felt, especially against the Vikings. It was like, Kirk's got a lot of open guys, but we keep hitting him. Like, just, it is entertaining to watch. It's like, all right, can we get to Kirk in 3 seconds? And you're watching the defensive line, and it's like, okay, get to him. So it's an entertaining product for fans that watching that defensive line. But then if you see the ball come out of the quarterback's hand, you're like, oh no, it's probably going to get caught.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Kirk played incredible. We won enough, so.
That's all that matters.
Can't complain.
All that matters. So yeah, I did a Eagles schedule prediction reel. Go watch that. Anybody who hasn't, I had them going 12-5. I think you had them 13-4 in your predictions.
Yes, we had a lot of the same predictions. We both had them splitting with the Cowboys because that's just a given. You had them losing to the Jets. I had them winning that game. I think I actually had them losing to the Seahawks just because we always do.
That's a good point.
When I was going through it, I was like, on paper, yes, we're going to beat the Seahawks. But I was like, I have to be realistic. We're going to lose some games. I'll give the Seahawks that one. And then it may have been, I don't remember it exactly because I went through every single team game by game, but then I just wrote down their record. But yeah, I had to win 13-4. I still stand by it. 13-4 Super Bowl champs. Book it.
Super Bowl champs. All right. This coming from the guy who predicted the Super Bowl appearance last year. So it's trustworthy. Who are they beating in the Super Bowl?
Let's go with, I don't think it'll be the Chiefs again. The Bengals are playing bad. Originally, I had the Bengals. I'll stick with the Bengals. They'll figure it out. They seem to start slow usually.
All right. There you go. Eagles over Bengals. I would love that. And as someone who has a roommate who's a Bengals fan, you would probably love that even more.
Oh, yes.
So that would be fun. Jalen versus Joe. Two quarterbacks who have gone to they would be the matchup of the last two Super Bowl losers.
To make it back.
So that'd be a fun storyline. I hope that happens.
Because I saw a graphic a while ago. It was like however many years since people who lost their first Super Bowl appearance never make it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, it was like the last time it happened was someone in the 80s or something insane.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that would be a big
scary, but hopefully Jalen can buck that trend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I would love that Super Bowl. And it's not on pace to happen right now, but it could. The Reds and Phillies could play each other in the first round of the playoffs. So if we get two Philly-Cincinnati matchups in 1 year, especially if Phillies beat the Reds, which they probably would, then it could be like, we already beat you once, now we're going to do it again, and that would be really fun. Just a random rivalry with Cincinnati.
May as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's fun. It's really fun having a team that's like this favored. It's a little stressful because the expectations are high, but like, I don't think that I've ever in my life experienced an Eagles team that's this favored. Like the Super Bowl year, they were supposed to be good, but like it was Carson's second year. Wait, why do our second year quarterbacks play like MVPs? That's insane. Because it was Carson. That's crazy.
Was that Doug Peterson's second year as well, or was that his?
Because Peterson and Wentz started together,
and it's just this, or that was Sirianni's first year though, or no, it was his second.
Sirianni's second. Hurts is third technically, but Hurts is second year as a starter.
Wow.
So I don't know what it is with the second year. No sophomore slumps for the Eagles. Huh. Never made that connection before. That's weird.
Me neither. Why?
But point being, this is the best and most highly touted Eagles team I've ever experienced. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. I was nervous about it last year because I was like, I always liked being the underdog because you fly under the radar. The team doesn't have to worry about the headlines. But after last year, they handled it so well. I was like, may as well be the top dog. Like,
absolutely, yeah. Hence Underdog Sports. Right now, we're recording this on Sunday afternoon. This will come out on Tuesday, so all of you know the deal with the final scores from week 2. But the Arizona Cardinals were expected by pretty much everybody to be the worst team in the league by a wide margin, tanking for the first overall pick, trying to get Caleb Williams. And they also have the Texans pick, so they could have the top 2 picks. Just the Cardinals, going to be terrible. They have reason to be terrible. They're playing the Giants, and as of this moment in recording, it's the third quarter, they're winning 28-14 against the Giants. So I would just like to take a couple of minutes to laugh at the Giants. Last year, they kind of had a resurgence under Brian Daboll. They were looking good. We had multiple conversations. And I was like, the Giants don't scare me one bit. And then we crushed them in the playoffs. And then this year, they signed Daniel Jones in the offseason, and we celebrated. And now here they are losing by 2 scores to the Cardinals.
Yep. I don't know what people expect. People tried to tell me Daniel Jones was a franchise quarterback. Maybe he could be average. I'll give you that. But the Giants. Brian Daboll also, people don't talk about this enough, did not deserve Coach of the Year. He started this in, what was it, 7-2 and finished. Did they finish 9-8?
10-7.
It was either 10-7, which either way is a terrible second half of the year.
Yeah, they finished 9-7-1. There was that tie.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so
they finished with a negative point differential. Yeah.
Exactly. He could have won like first half Coach of the Year, but it should have been either Sirianni or Doug Peterson. Because Doug Peterson did the complete opposite. The Jaguars started slow, and then they fought and won every game they had to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I would have gone Doug Peterson, even wanting Sirianni to get it. Doug Peterson seemed like the clear option. He brought the Jaguars on such a resurgence after the whole Urban Meyer thing, got them to the playoffs. But no, Brian Daboll, because New York media attention more than Jacksonville. So, just wanted to rub that in, Giants fans. You are losing to the Arizona Cardinals, so congrats. Hope you enjoy that with your $40 million a year quarterback. We have one instructor, Mike Stinton, who teaches us broadcast writing. He is a Giants fan. He was in the studio the other day, and he was talking with me and Tyler about the Giants. And he said if the Giants lose to the Cardinals, they should just tank the rest of the year to try to get Caleb Williams. Because he's like, we'd have the tiebreaker over the normally you want to have the tiebreaker for wins, but they'd have like a reverse tiebreaker on the Cardinals where it's like, we lost to you guys, so we get the number 1 pick.
That's a fair point.
So, I mean, well, actually, would they sign Caleb Williams? Because they probably wouldn't have the money to, because of the Jones contract. So even if they have the number 1 pick, they might not be able to get Caleb Williams just because they don't have the money. So that's a very out there hypothetical. It's week 2. Talking about the Giants getting the number 1 overall pick is kind of ridiculous, but it'd just be fun. It'd be fun if they if they couldn't even get Caleb Williams if they wanted.
Yeah, signing Daniel Jones may be one of the best things to happen to the NFC East in a while. Also, I don't know.
The Giants signing Daniel Jones and the Cowboys hiring Mike McCarthy are 2 of the top moments of the past couple years. And then with the Commanders, it's just Daniel Snyder. So him leaving was bad for the NFC East, the other teams.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Not worried about them.
So, go Cardinals. Good job. Giants, I don't even know what to say. Just, Giants are annoying. While we're taking shots at teams, is it too early to say anything about the Niners? They're playing well, so I don't know if we want to address the 49ers right now.
I still think we're going to beat them. No, it'll probably be the Sam NFC Championship game might still have us on top.
That's going to be a fun rematch because the Niners are going to want revenge so bad.
Mm-hmm. And then honestly, they'd probably just play angry, and then we'd beat them. But I mentioned earlier, my mom and dad are both from the Bay, and we're all Warriors fans. But to go along with that, they're all Niners fans. So if they're watching this, don't get mad at me. But I don't care if Brock Purdy's healthy. I don't care who. We're winning that game. There was no universe where we were not making the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Your number one rush defense allowed 3 rushing touchdowns. Or was it? Did Jalen Hurts have one?
Might have been 4.
I think it was 2 Boobie, 1 for Boston. And Hurts may have had one.
Let's see. The Eagles did score 4 touchdowns, so I think they were all rushing. Yep, Hurts 1-yard run, probably one of the sneaks. 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
I respect the Niners just because my whole family likes them, but they've also been saying revenge tour since they lost the Super Bowl. So if they want revenge again on us this time, sorry, I'm against it. Like,
yeah, I would have to agree. Again, completely unbiased. But yeah, we kind of learned this in the Super Bowl. The Niners probably have the better overall roster. They are pretty loaded. But Brock Purdy's not as good as Jalen Hurts, and we learned that all last year with the Chiefs. The Chiefs were depleted in every way, but Patrick Mahomes. So
on one ankle,
that was all they needed, and so our quarterback is better than your quarterback. It really bothers me when people do too simple of analysis on things, but I think in this scenario, quarterbacks are so important that you can kind of do that. So
if it works.
Yeah. So you heard it here first. The guy who correctly picked the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl last year has predicted that they will win the Super Bowl this year. So we're rolling with that. Love to hear it. It's going to be another great season. We already promoted Underdog Sports, but in case anyone missed it, if you dared skip through the episode, we'll do it again. All the stuff in the description. Check out Underdog Sports, Connor's sports content. So follow him and all those things. What would your what would your elevator pitch of Underdog Sports be to people? The 30-second elevator pitches are tough. We've been doing all sports all the time for 4.5 years, and I still struggle with my elevator pitch.
If you want the most random sports content, or you don't know, you get that notification Underdog Sports has posted. You don't know what it's going to be. Yeah, you don't know what sport is going to be. I've posted a UFC graphics I've made. I've posted when DeAndre Hopkins got released. I put him in different teams on Madden and took screenshots and said, what team will he go to? You can see me in the studio. You don't know what it's going to be, so it keeps you on your toes. So you may as well follow, because at some point, I'll probably post something you like.
There you go. I like that. It's like a, I don't know what it's called. We're just luck of the draw, basically. Not gambling, but is it a slot machine where you just spin it and things come up? It's the slot machine of sports. Just see what you get.
Yep.
There you go. Well, thank you for being on, Connor. It was great having you. I really enjoy working with you on things, and I'm glad you're a part of our group. I'm really excited to keep seeing all the stuff you make.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've liked working with you too. We make a great team. I think, I don't want to toot our own horns, but the class voted our project as the best earlier in the class, and I personally think we had the best studio segment. So I'd say we're undefeated as a team.
I would have to humbly agree on that. So,
yeah.
Of course, always. So, yeah, this has been episode 17 of season 2. Thank you to all of you guys for watching. If you haven't, make sure to do just all the things, like, subscribe, comment, follow on all the socials, just the whole do all of them, all the things. Thank you for joining us again, Connor, and go Birds.
Yes, sir. Go Birds.